At the end of the day, I'm just trying to impress you in between episodes. Welcome back to our most frequent guest, the beautiful Nick Heffron.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, welcome home.
Have we actually started already?
Yeah, I just started.
Oh, okay.
I waited till we got all of like the initial, like, probably shouldn't say that on camera. Probably shouldn't say that on camera.
Right.
Bang, now we're in. Okay.
I was waiting for the theme song.
I stopped doing the
Leeway.
I did that like from maybe 120 to 170, and now I haven't figured out how to put it in the new setup.
Okay.
So I was just like, fuck it. For a little while, we'll get back
It's
to
like
it.
you put the work in of recording
I've lost
an
production
entire-
value. I understand that, Nick. Don't bring it up. Really, it's when I moved to this switcher, like the analog switcher.
Yeah.
Then I couldn't pipe it through there without bringing an extra computer. I don't want to
think
explain why
that-
shit doesn't work.
I don't think that the production value's gone down at all.
No, you're coming in here, you're being confrontational off the rip, and it's not towards other people. I'm here to egg you on against the world, but you come to
That's not hard
you
to
come
do.
in my parents' basement and tell me I don't know how to set up this shit. Okay,
I never said that.
Well, maybe it's a deep insecurity of mine. I've been vacuuming more down here out of just fear. Actually, we do get the craziest wolf spiders in this basement. So if you see a thickie,
I also do have some crazy wolf spiders in my basement.
when your basement flooded with all your gear,
Yeah.
what was the saddest find and what was the funniest find?
The saddest find,
Yeah,
like the thing that I
the
lost.
thing that was destroyed that you were most hurt about.
I got an entire Sheeran looper. I spent like
Waterlogged.
I spent like over $1,000 on it. Like I was gonna redo the whole system, and honestly, it's a great product. It's a fantastic product, especially for somebody like you who like kind of starts the base of your loop with like a percussion type of thing,
Yeah.
and then looping on top. I mean, it's incredible because you can like build like your effects inside of it as well, so you wouldn't even need like any like pedals outside of the looper. Like you could do the entire thing in one machine.
So what are the effects on board? Like an octaver, delay, reverb?
Octaver, delay, reverb, overdrive. I mean,
No
it's got-
shit.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
But that's the Mac Daddy unit, correct?
right. I mean, it's by Headrush.
Oh,
So-
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's just like the Headrush version of all the other modelers, but it's just for looping.
Yeah, with Ed Sheeran's name on it.
I've been going way deeper on like what the Helix can do for the loop stuff, but what really brought me to the Boomerang, and like, I've never wanted the Boomerang before Kristen was selling one, John's wife.
Yeah.
So she got rid of hers, I bought it, and then finding out the way that you can make that first bar, like the master bar, so much shorter, and then I have more variability for how long the chorus is, how long the verse
Right.
is, how I push these layers in. So
But you also have the sidecar.
yes, exactly. If you don't have the sidecar, I don't think the Boomerang is the right looper for anybody.
Yeah.
It's
Unless you're just like kind of doodling around at home.
yeah, and anymore I see so many folks who have like the small expression pedal buttons all over the place. Like,
Sure.
you can do a lot with the Boss RC30, that small looper,
Yeah.
and one other pedal. Kyle Hackett just builds and undoes all night, and I'm like, dude, that is disturbing that you're hitting undo on all this work and then just rebuilding it the next chorus.
Kyle Hackett, though, he is so damn smooth. I mean,
He's
like,
so smooth. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's
It's
that's-
like,
I don't like when a guy has a messy setup and he sounds good. That makes me
Right.
kind of. I spend so much time. I took a fucking Clorox wipe to my board the other day. Why? Because I was worried about the judgment of friends. And it's
honestly, when I just came home and I just did my first solo gig, I thought about that too. I like got on my pedals and I was like, man, this shit's pretty dusty.
and so is you. You've been in the van for 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure I get the answer that I want, though. What was the funniest find when your basement flooded?
Oh,
was
the
there
funniest find?
anything that was like living on top, like a sinking ship?
Well, honestly, the funniest thing was kind of how I discovered it, because the power had went out the night before, and that like the sump pump was off as well, and it was like a crazy big storm, and the like my landlord texted me and said that like the guy who's coming to check like the water meter but it was just like a routine thing. And he's like, I just like woke up to a text of like, hey, the guy's gonna be here any minute. Can you let him in? I was like, yeah, sure. And it's in my basement. He just literally had to like check one thing. Cool. He's totally gone. He shows up, and I was like, so yeah, where's the thing? I'm like, oh yeah, it's just right down here. I had no idea still. So I walk him down into my basement, and in front of an absolute stranger, I'm like, and he's like, oh, it looks like you took on a little water down here last night. And I was like, looks like. And in the back of my head, I'm like, holy shit. Like my fucking like stage snake.
Yeah, your life's in shambles.
Yeah.
In front of this stranger. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he realized that there was a fucking problem. He's like, yeah, your basement flipped. But he doesn't realize
I mean, it was like ankle deep.
Oh, my God.
In water. And, you know, I got electric running all through it. And so, like, as soon as he left, you know, I'm just like, took my shoes off and just start like going through it. Like my feet are like buzzing all around. Like, yeah.
That's you let him walk into there? Was he wearing rubber?
No.
Okay.
He didn't have to walk into there, but as soon as he was gone.
Oh, did he just leave after that? He's like, I'm not even gonna check that.
Well, no, he did. He's like, cool, yep, everything's good. Yeah, sucks about your basement.
Dude.
And then I was like, yeah, sure, see you later, man. And then I was like, holy shit. And then yeah, like was just like picking up my drums like off the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was a sunny day the next day. I'm literally like, my drums are in my driveway, like drying out. They were in the cases and everything, but like still I was like taking everything out of cases.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my entire first looper setup. So I had to replace all of my like singular sound stuff.
So your Ed Sheeran, like the Sheeran looper was gone and your other looper was gone.
The other looper wasn't gone, but it had gotten wet and it had dried out and it never worked the same.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's brutal. You just had the renter's insurance before, so you didn't have like music particular insurance?
I did not have insurance.
Okay. Do you have insurance now on your gear?
No. Thanks for
Dude, I'll out you on it. Dude, I think I'm in. I think
Aaron
I have
Roy actually talked to me about this the other day because I was like, dude, I need to know what that insurance is.
musicproinsurance.com. Yeah, they're great.
That's
what I've used for years. This is definitely not an ad. It'd be nice if they advertised. God
Right.
damn it, I pay you a lot of money and I don't use you.
Go to musicproinsurance.com for 20% off of your first month.
Are you embarrassed in front of general contractors because of the ankle-deep water in your basement? What you're going to need is Music Pro Insurance before he finds out that was the only way you make a living.
Promo code WAVE. When you sign up today, that's 20% off. Promo code WAVE.
Side promo code get shit on. Okay, get it.
But he was like, yeah, you pay like $175 a year and it covers like, $13,000 worth of gear. And I was like, is that it?
No, you can do way bigger plans than that.
Right, sure, but
yeah,
I was like 13 grand. That doesn't even cover like half of my stuff.
No, you'd be amazed how much your local musicians have into gear.
Yeah,
but as much as I love watching someone like Kyle Hackett come in with like a dirty setup that sounds amazing, there's something also about walking in and someone has the nicest looking rig, and they just don't got it.
They just can't do it.
Yeah. I'm sure car people feel the same way about watching like someone in the far right lane in a nice Corvette doing the speed limit. It's like for the love of God.
Right.
Okay.
He's got like a vanity plate.
Yeah. Quit lounging and you can afford a ticket if you can do that. Okay. Entertain me.
Right. But like when you pull up alongside of the Corvette, it's like some guy who's like 80 years old or something, just had like a late life crisis and, bought a sports car. And you're like, well, please don't go in the fast lane.
And we bring this back to every guitar player has dead 9-volt batteries. Keep them in a bucket, throw them at nice cars.
Yeah, I have a drawer full of batteries that I don't know what to do with.
That's a hazard. You should dump them in your basement next time it floods.
So now I'm like traumatized that like anytime it rains, like just a whole bunch, I'm like, texting Ray. I'm like, go to the basement, check the basement, check the basement. She's like, basement's fine. I'm like, okay.
Thank God.
All right. Yeah.
In most of your dreams, you're just going to be ankle deep in your own bullshit, but that's life.
But what's funny is that I had only brought the Sheeran looper out because I was like just starting to work with it. Like I never used it live. I was literally just in the basement like workshopping it and like seeing like how it worked. And I never keep my pedals like on the floor.
Yeah.
I always pack them up. I always like pack them away and everything. But for some reason, I just did not on that very fateful day.
And you think God doesn't have a sense of humor? You ever read that book? You got by God.
He does have a weird sense of humor.
He likes to party. What can I say?
Sometimes he does.
All right.
Depends on who you're hanging out with. Yeah.
So, how many days in a minivan in the year 2026?
Minivan.
And was what you
Come on, man.
cargo van?
No, passenger van.
Passenger van? Okay.
15 passenger van.
All right, I like it.
Come on, minivan.
Dude, you'd be surprised how
Oh, I
comfortable a
know.
minivan could be. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. On like a short run with like Adam and I can tour in a minivan comfortably.
Yes.
But a 4-piece band that we had a lot of merch. I
Yeah.
mean, we did some serious numbers in merch, and I'd never been a part of a project that did that well in merch. So just like the sheer amount that you just have to have on you at all times is nuts.
For sure.
It takes up a lot of room.
Well, and if you can plan that around, like, when do you get drop shipments of it while you're on the road?
Sure.
I'm sure that's part of the game. Like, one hotel lobby just gets decked out in XLs of this one particular tee that we're just getting taken out on.
There was a time where we had lighters on our tour or our merch menu, and they didn't come in before we left. So they were trying to we tried so many times to figure out a way to ship us the lighters, but you can't ship lighters, that many lighters, by air. Just legally you can't.
So
they have to come by ground.
Yeah.
And for some reason, something got messed up with it, and we were down. They tried to get it to us down in Florida. They couldn't get it to us there. So we had to wait until we got all the way around the East Coast and then did our Cincinnati show. And then we finally got to pick up the lighters.
People don't understand
How nice lighters, though.
how much you gonna make per lighter. It's that's a great item on a table. That's
Yeah.
$3, $4 of profit every single time.
These
you
are
do it.
Clipper lighters, though.
You want the Clippers? Okay.
Yeah.
Why not the classic Bic?
Because Clippers are classy. Clippers are sexy.
Clippers scream, "I need this lighter," much more than the
Yeah,
Bic does.
right.
Bic's that's a lighter. I'll buy
Yeah,
a lighter.
exactly.
A Clipper's I need the poker.
Yeah.
I'm clearing something.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, very nice. So, when did you get the call for this Bershey tour?
When did I get the call for it?
Yeah.
Well, I got the call to be a part of the project kind of when the song Radio blew up.
Okay.
And
It was we're going to need a band, and we're already starting to put these things together.
So she had already had a lineup prior, and I got the call just to be the drummer. And it was only supposed to be for a few shows. We did Columbus and Cincinnati in December. Then we had 2 New York shows in February, and then we did South by Southwest in March. And it was around January when we got the offer for this tour, and a pretty ambitious tour for an act with not that much touring experience. So we didn't know how much of the tour we actually wanted to do. And I'm glad we did as many dates as we did. We didn't do the entire thing. We had to hop off in Seattle, and the tour went all the way back down the West Coast and ended in LA. So the tour actually only ended Sunday. And I've been back for a week now.
Yeah. It's hard to say no when that opportunity comes about, though. It's you're talking about artists at a level in between, mid-sized to larger clubs.
Yeah.
And what comes next after that probably has to be the theaters. It's
Right.
there's so many questions of how you pull that off logistically. The opening slot, if you can get a good guarantee, is the best slot by far. You're
Sure.
walking into rooms that have an audience that you can help fill, but it's not your responsibility to fill.
Sure.
And the logistics should be smooth enough once you get on there.
Right.
I know y'all had some crazy days in a van. That's for fucking sure.
I mean, there's a level of maturity once you get to a certain point where it's you understand, that there's not a lot of sleep. These are long drives. We're not up late, partying up or anything. It was very much at the end of it, everyone's man, I can't wait to go to sleep. I can't wait to
Yes.
just be quiet somewhere. And it was not the real rock and roll type of experience that, you know, you would assume would happen on a tour like that. But that being said, like everything was handled very professionally, you know. If someone was a kind of wild card like that, because we were at like a bare bones crew. I mean, we had no extra crew. I mean, like all of us were wearing multiple hats to just make this thing work. And yeah, it was a crazy ride from, you know, Tucson all the way around the country to like, and we had our system about halfway through, you know. It takes some refining.
Yeah. For who takes what driving shifts and whatnot, or like
No.
who's doing what, like hats, like you're on merch tonight, you're gonna be packing up.
I'm saying is that we had just the band and a front of house tour manager. And so having your own front of house is probably the most valuable thing that you can have on tour if you're really trying to make a difference.
Was this your first time getting to have a dedicated front of house engineer that works so intimately with the project?
Yes, in my experience, yes. And I mean, we were completely self-contained. We had, you know, we essentially just fed their engineer just tails, just left, right, sub fill, and you know, we had our own X32 on stage, which was also like our playback rack and everything. So, because like, you know, backing tracks, so it's a little more complicated than just like, you know, getting some levels and just, you know, going.
Engineer's name is it Kyle?
Kyle
Kubiak?
Kyle Kubiak.
I've heard the name so many times. I don't think I've gotten to meet him before.
He's a legend.
So he's just going out on an iPad from where y'all are at. How many nights does it run smoothly versus how many nights have hiccups? Just like the routers.
0 hiccups.
Wow, what,
dude?
That slams.
Nuts. I mean, yeah, it was funny that like on like the last night of tour, you know, we kind of had this like little powwow thing of like, let's say the things that we're thankful for on tour, and you know, everyone's like, I'm thankful to have met you guys, and I'm thankful. I mean, we're talking like with the other band, and in my head, I'm like, would it be really lame if I said like, I'm really thankful there were no playback issues, and like,
I'm really glad I didn't get embarrassed at all.
Yeah.
I had to look at somebody like, why isn't shit working?
Yes,
right? Dude.
Exactly. I mean, and like, you know, when you're relying on a computer and a playback system, like that shit happens all of the time at like even the biggest levels.
Yeah. And what's the ride like for someone that's, you know, you come in, is it a 30-minute set?
30 to 40 minutes. It really depends on the night. So, I mean, that's why you need a tour manager. And like, you know, you have someone that is handling all of those logistics and all those advances and everything, you know, leading up to it. But essentially it was like, you know, Bria, the singer, and Amanda, the bass player, we literally finish the set. They would drop their wireless packs and run straight to the merch table and sell merch for the entire time that we were there. And then Kyle and I would pack everything down, load the van.
Yeah.
Well, at least load all of like the musical gear into the van if we were able to. I mean, every club is different, but yeah, so it was like just getting it all done with 4 people was, yeah, it was wild. I've never had to do something like that. I mean, obviously I've done that kind of stuff just on like a smaller level, but for like the level that we were at, having 0 crew, having, you know, no driver, no dedicated merch person. I mean, it was pretty incredible that we pulled it off.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, you tell a fun story about Mike during, I think it's Infinity Spree, that after the set, he's yelling, "I'll race you to the merch table," and jumping off the stage and going for it.
Yep.
But, you know, one thing as a frontman that I haven't really implemented or thought was necessary is, can someone else break down my gear so I can go stand there the entire time and just be there for this interaction that is going to make this thing more
Somebody
profitable?
totally can.
Yes, exactly. And not only asking that, but knowing that, like, you're handing off something that is personal.
Yeah.
Everyone would rather pack up their own gear.
Sure.
But you need to trust somebody to do that job so you can do another job better.
Sure. I mean, there were points of the tour that, you know, we're signing things, and like I'm like packing my drums down in the backstage, and they're like running out to me. They're like, "Nick, they need you to sign stuff." And you know, Kyle was the old drummer of Bershey before he became the front of house.
Yeah.
And so it's like he knows how to pack a drum kit up. And, you know, I would go out and I would like sign stuff. I would have like, you know, I would help them take the pictures with, you know, fans with Bria and things like that. And then I would go back and like he's got half of my drums packed up for me. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't touch my shit.
Well, yeah. And,
No, I'm kidding.
but it's like, and like, you know, he takes great care of it. You know, he knows how to do it. But it's just that kind of thing of like, you know, it's like, that's my responsibility. I feel bad if somebody else is handling it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be the person to handle that.
Yeah. We had a nice phone conversation about like, you know, this was a type of tour where the rooms typically have really interested fans. Like you have a warm to hot audience.
Yeah.
It's just there for it and they're appreciative. And then you balance that against many years of like
Cold
how
rooms.
many cold rooms. How many times do I come back to a market and play to nobody and have no returns?
Right.
Where I start to feel like it just doesn't work there. And so you're watching these two different models of one that appears on the internet, has great success, and turns into butts and seats, and the other one is trying to meet people locally to fill butts and seats.
Sure.
What do you think that hybrid model looks like in the next 5 to 10 years for artists trying to achieve that?
The hybrid model?
Yeah, where you're touring, you're trying
Yeah.
to make fans in person and bring them
Yeah.
back out, or just the like.
There was a level of that even with going out into like rooms that were already warm or hot. And I think it's just because of my experience of doing that. You know, it's like in Sunday drives, Adam and I were the kings of that, where like we would go to the Dunkin' Donuts to like get a coffee and, you know, we're
Sling
just kind
promo.
of like, right. And it's like, I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's like the tattoos or whatever, but it's like, I mean, we got it all the time also on the road with Bershey is that we would like go into a coffee shop and there's like 4 of us and, you know, we're like kind of asking questions about stuff and like people are like, you guys in a band? We're like, yeah, we're in a band. And
Yeah.
like, what's the name of the band? And, you know, that conversation kind of gets started. So, but like Adam and I would literally go to the Dunkin' Donuts and they'd be like, yeah, you know, we're just in town for tonight. And they're like, oh, what are you in town for? Like, oh, we're in a band. Like kind of like,
There's a
kind
way
of baiting that conversation. And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, like the chick who was serving us the coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts, she's at the show. And like, we're literally bringing people that we're just like meeting along the way, like to the shows. And that happened a couple of times, even on like the tour like that. But it was just really cool to see like having warm to hot rooms of like, you know, having the perspective of like, you know, we know that Radio is the big song, but then, you know, playing the other songs that are on DSPs and like just seeing people like mouthing the words, like every word to every song. I mean, yeah, it's really cool.
It changes everything about it. And, you know, we kind of talked about what it feels like to kind of get to that point, to go from nothing to something, or to start with something and then try to deal with nothing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways to start off, but weathering the changes and the variety of it. Like, some people lose their mind going from semi-successful to the most successful. Other people lose their mind going from semi-successful to nothing, and they never hit the bounce back. So,
Sure. And they quit before they bounce back.
yeah.
But I think the hybrid of the internet culture to actually being in person, I think kind of will stem from just online content, like, you know, or a sync placement or something that like once the demand is there, then start to actually go out. Because it's like, you know, me and you have done the thing of like, you know, we just go to a place and just hope and pray and
Yeah.
just like hope and pray somebody's there. And man, this time, you know, sorry, it wasn't a good turnout on this like Friday night in a huge market where it just seems like, why wouldn't there be people here? But you never know. But instead of just like burning money like that, because we know how much it costs to even just go out. I mean, even just like to get a win, like it still costs a lot of money to do it. But like going out and just taking L's, I mean, like those hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of gears to grease in that. Like when you haven't hit the mid to larger size clubs, well, the small clubs, either the neighborhood loves it or they've had one bad experience that means they will never come to your fucking show there.
Right.
Or you're kind of working with some territory that they don't know.
Yeah.
And so trying to...
Or you're working with bad locals.
Which some markets have, but I think there's always good people to find in the market. It can just take forever to find them. Like my favorite people that I play for up in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Oh, at Howard's Club H.
Dude, those are people that
Played
stayed
there.
at their home as an Airbnb, and they now come out to the show with their family, and we have a ball.
Right.
But you luck out. Some other places you go out there, and it's like, oh, someone from TikTok made time to come out to a show, and suddenly I have like a real friend in the room that knows the material, that loves. Boy, does that change everything about the show. But
Sure.
how many times can you take that out? It's
Right,
such a
but
question.
like I'm saying, like in a world pre-TikTok, that you didn't have that you didn't have like just the accessibility to people across the entire country, across the entire world. I mean, we always had that with internet kind of content, but just to like create a persona and to create the thing like you're doing great on TikTok and just the internet in general, of just focusing on that, because then once one blows and like all of a sudden you have this crazy jump, all these spike in numbers, and then you can kind of gauge those analytics and be like, oh damn, I have like 100,000 listeners in Little Rock, Arkansas, like some random place. But then that's when you go, okay, now we're going to Little Rock, instead of just like, well, it's on the route, we're trying to get to Dallas, so we got to stop in Little Rock and just hope that somebody saw our flyer somewhere. It's like creating the demand for it and then putting yourself out there. It's just kind of like the opposite. It's kind of like backwards of the way it used to be, of like, before it's like, well, how are they going to see us? We got to put ourselves in front of their faces. It's like people don't want to come out anymore to just random things.
Yeah.
They want to come out to something that they are already invested in, that they already love, and they already really want to do.
Something that they already feel comfortable with too. Like
Exactly.
What's interesting to me about Bershey and radio and sync placements is there's a decent amount of audience that found that song long before it landed anywhere.
Yeah.
And they loved it for what it was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other passive gone active listeners in that population that, what's the video game that's in?
Dispatch.
Holy shit, So the amount of people that it gets in their ear, it becomes familiar, it's very comfortable, and then they love the other material, and they've already kind of settled it into that. Like,
Right.
It's such an interesting consumer experience that you do need to rethink of the way that you find cold fans and turn them into hot, happy listeners. And
Right.
I don't mean sweaty, but they could be.
Or
I'd imagine
sexy.
the Dispatch audience is a very sweaty group of people. My bad.
They're a very niche group of people. I mean, we, these are video gamers. So, I mean, we would show up and like we could just tell a Dispatch fan, because they're literally like in costume. They're like
No
in
shit.
costume, and they're like there to get pictures with her. Because I mean, like, radio wasn't just a song in Dispatch. It became like probably like the biggest song of Dispatch. Like, when people think of Dispatch, they think of that song. And there were a ton of great songs in that entire soundtrack. But that one was just like, I mean, people just one-to-one it. It was just like Dispatch, radio, Dispatch, Bershey.
I'm still so out of touch with that world of sync, and I feel like it would be going away in the world of AI music and things like that.
Not at all.
You really think so?
No. And I think that like sync placement is almost kind of like an untapped revenue source, just ways to get your things out there. I mean, people are always trying to, get their song placed in this, and people do. But I think that the radio thing was a little different, because usually when your song gets placed in something, you're like, cool, we got placed in like the background of this show. And it's because like, the main character, like one of the characters like turns on a radio, or, no pun intended, turns on like a stereo system while they're like getting in the shower, and it's like your song, like, you know, kind of like off in the distance for like 15 to 20 seconds. And you're like, cool, I got a sync spot. This song, it was like full on audio. It was like 2.5 minutes of it. It was almost like the entire song. So like, yeah, it was a way bigger sync than most sync placements usually get.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that really interests me about like the costumes, someone showing up in costume.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that diehard fans are. It's not that everyone's a diehard fan of something. It's like diehard fans are a type.
Yeah.
You know, the best thing about opening up for another artist is their best fans could be your best fans. These are just people that have that capacity and love for things. Whereas we look at like we're going to have different fan bases. Like they intersect at every opportunity, and they'll be grateful for you showing them something else that they can love.
Right.
Never forgetting that video games or types of art or like the amount of people that have had songs pop on Book Talk. Because it's like I got correlated with this particular series, and suddenly that song has a home.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting way to think about it. I think I've been very closed-minded to that, but it's a hard world to break into.
Right. And TikTok, especially like TikTok sounds, kind of bridge the gap between like, you know, just putting your song out and getting a sync placement. Is like, you know, you can have a song that, like you said, like Book Talk or something, that like you kind of find yourself in a corner of the internet or a corner of TikTok that it's like your sound is now synonymous with a trend, or like, you know, just like posting slideshows, or like literally posting like, you know, here's my 2016 to 2026 thing, and it's like your song, and that just becomes synonymous with it, and then all of a sudden you have a crazy numbers, but you didn't have a sync placement. You didn't have, it's like, it's sheer chance. I mean, it still goes back to the whole like just rolling the dice.
But that correlation can be really strong. Like in the same way that food's visceral in memory, like songs have that. And so finding yourself at a crossroads in any type of culture is the most important of letting your song kind of, I don't know, root itself in somebody's life.
Right.
Like one of the reasons I'm doing the 30 for 30 was inspired by a potential publicist I talked to that said, what's going to stop me will be good for lifestyle brands.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think I have a good story in place for lifestyle brands to feel any type of relevance to this. So I did a bunch of works on just storytelling, and I decided that this series will be a nice way to like hone up on my video skills, to work on my lighting, to try to get a format in place, but also it's like try to repitch it 1,000 different ways until it finds something that it really glues well together with.
Right.
Yeah, so turning that towards this next chapter of Pair of Dogs, and you kind of finding your sound independent of all other kind of input, not in like an isolationist way, but in a solo endeavor.
Yeah.
What does that sound really correlate with to you right now?
The sound of Pair of Dogs?
Yeah. Like where do you think that fits?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because back when I was in Infinity Spree, you know, we tried so hard to find acts that were similar to us, and we never could. I mean, we would tour with like, you know, rock bands, and we'd do shows with jam bands, we'd do shows with like straight up like electronic computer bands, because we were kind of an amalgamation of all of that, and we never found one that was like, this is it. This is like our brother band. This is like our buddy band kind of thing. And Pair of Dogs, I'm working with Nuge on online marketing and promotion and things like that. And when I first kind of presented the sound to him, because he had worked closely with Infinity Spree as well, he was like, I didn't realize how much it was going to sound like Infinity Spree. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like, when I wrote, that's just like the sound that came out. This is just like, you know, I like elements of like emo and alternative, but I also love kind of like pop sensible stuff, like catchy hooks. I also like the kind of like funky guitar. I also like a lot of electronic elements, which was kind of all of Infinity Spree kind of wrapped up as well. So when I've told Infinity Spree fans about this new project coming out, they're like, what's it sound like? I'm like, it sounds like if I just picked up right where we left off, essentially. So the sound that's coming out of it, I'm kind of in the middle of like, I don't know where it's going to fit because Infinity Spree never fit into anything either.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing because I feel like it creates something that is unique and organic. It's like, I'm not trying to be like, hey, for fans of list these 3 like legacy acts, you know, you'll like my stuff. It's like, so you're just like, essentially, you know, like a love child of all these acts that, you know, have already done the thing.
Yeah, it'd be easier to list your inspirations, but
I don't have any inspirations. That's the other thing. I don't have like one band. You know, I have bands that I like.
I was gonna say that can't be necessarily true. Like, you know, it'd be hard to say one of them is this, one of them is this. But if you list off like, well, I love Papadozio, but then I love this era of the John Mayer trio, and then I love what's going on here and love what's going on there. Like, you can taste those flavors. It doesn't need to be similar to still be in the spirit of in some ways. And
right.
One thing that I really remember from one entrepreneurial class was like, you don't make the product and find the customer. You find the customer and make the product. Well, in our line of work, that doesn't feel very honest. But what I can do is I can keep learning how to make the product to my own satisfaction, then show it to enough people so they tell me who the customers are.
Right.
Like, it kind of fucks up that sentiment. But what I'm saying is the people that like it will tell you what it's like.
Right.
Because you shouldn't have to decide that. You're just working on it.
Exactly.
It's better for you to be blissfully unaware of who you're ripping off in the most loving ways. It's like the moment someone's like, you know what the top of this song sounds like? This. You're like, God fucking damn, you just ruined this whole tune for me. You know?
Sure. And yeah, I actually I had this big long Facebook post a couple of years ago about this guy that came out to the Anderson Tap House open mic. He was literally just trying to make small talk with me of just like, you know, he's like, hey, so, you know, what kind of music do you play? And I was like, it's kind of like, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's kind of like a mixture of, you know, like funk and rock and electronic and pop. And he's like, okay, well, I mean, like, who are you listening to right now? And, you know, in my line of work, I feel like I don't even have a music taste anymore because I'm literally just listening to like the next thing I have to learn.
Yeah. It's like cooking for a living. Like, what's your favorite? Like, well, I cook for a living.
Right.
You know?
So it's like, so I'm just doing whatever's next.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like psychotically listening to things that, you know, I have to memorize or like, you know, I have to, you know, be totally engulfed in, not just like I can look up a chart and like kind of just strum my way through. So they're like, so he's like, so who are you listening to? And I was like, let's see, I don't even really know. And he's like, so you do music for a living, you have no idea how to describe it, you have no idea, you know,
this guy sounds like a prick.
What? Well, he really wasn't. He was like, he was just trying to like, you know, make the most basic small talk with me. I couldn't give him any answers at all.
Like,
I sounded like the prick.
Yeah, exactly. Not giving this guy anything to work with.
Right. And like he was getting visibly frustrated. He's like, okay, well, you know, what are artists that you like? And I'm like, you know, there's and he was like, you know what, man, just have a good night. And just like walked away. And I was like, I do this for a living. And I couldn't give this guy like any basic answers to like the most basic baseline questions of anything. And I was just like, who am I? Who am I? And what am I doing?
Whether it feels like what you want to say, it's like being at Starbucks and someone says, what are you doing in town tonight? Like, I need to have a pitch for you. Unfortunately, like I have 30 seconds in an elevator to make you feel like you're interested enough that I don't come off in the wrong way.
Sure.
Which is weird conversations to plan for, and it has a lot of vanity and ego that you kind of have to work through.
Yeah.
How you like to present it.
Right.
But if you can pull out a business card on that motherfucker and be like, only you can decide what it sounds like, young Padawan, slap him 5 and get out of there.
That's also a weird answer.
Exactly, but like at least that gives him an actionable, and I can get out of this. Because
Sure.
like, it's really not my call.
Right.
You know?
But it's like, I should have been able to give this guy all of those answers.
You fucked his day up, dude. It was inappropriate.
I literally did. I
Yeah.
literally, like, he was just trying to make small talk at the bar, and I couldn't give him any answers. And I was like, man, what am I doing? Like, what am I actually, like, who am I for real?
Well, and then we were stepping away from a project like Burst, where you felt so much of an identity of this thing. I mean, like, you were really engulfed in it in the way that you just described. And I've mentioned this on the show. Like, the way you listen to music is very much as a whole. It'd be hard for you to interrupt what you're thinking about the hi-hat part to hear the guitar part. It's all one thing, and that's kind of how you absorb. And what a great way to view it. But when you step out of it, it's like, well, sometimes it's hard to see into the void to know what's missing. Things just appear, and that's what was missing. It was this word to describe it, not this word.
Sure.
And it's kind of like a later adaptation to the songwriting is building the identity of the music that you have to wear all the time. Like, whether it's your stage name or what you wear on stage or how the merch reflects it, like, you can look at it as the most royal pain in the ass of doing this.
Yeah.
Or you can look at it as an extension of the art.
Right. And it seems like it should be fun. It seems like it really should be fun, but I mean, going and like shooting content and like not really knowing like where, like what the genre is. So it's like, it's not like, kind of like indie stuff where, like that look is very defined, or like, or if it's emo where like the look is very defined, and like, people know what to wear, they know what to expect, and like they want that too. It's not even just like, oh, it's the same kind of thing. It's like they resonate with that because they're like, this is me.
They've grown familiar enough with it, and then they've adapted themselves in the same way that your heroes have played a part in what you're doing right now.
Sure.
What they consume becomes a part of who they are,
But at the same time, I'm never thinking about an artist when I'm writing. I'm never thinking about like, oh man, I'm really into this right now, so my art kind of reflects that. Or like, you hear a song, I'm like, well, I was definitely going through this phase clearly on like the way that I'm playing the guitar or like drum parts or anything. It's like, going back to the thing of like, I don't really feel like I have a taste in music because I'm constantly listening to like different things and learning different things, that it's like when I get to write myself, I kind of just try to throw everything out the window and just literally just write whatever I want.
Okay, and does that feel like your taste?
I guess, but but again, it's like, it's nothing that I really listen to. It's like, it's nothing that even really exists. It's like something that like I kind of dreamt up in my head that I'm like, I want this to exist.
Do you listen to your own stuff?
Of course.
I feel like, so that
I am hypercritical of my own stuff.
Well, and like that's an issue that I'm trying to resolve myself. Like, can you work on enough material to walk away and enjoy listening to your own stuff? Because if you never get there, then something's wrong with the song. If you never stop being critical of it and just enjoyed, and I think a lot of that is like, you do have to wear it. All my friends get to check out of their day job. If they fucked up a supplier shipment today, or if they fucked up something in the deli, like whatever, they don't have to go home and live with that. And like when they're showering tonight, they're not gonna wonder if everything they've done up to this point was a waste of time because they spilt that gallon of milk. It's like, actually, I forgot the second verse to a very sentimental song in my life, and I think I might be failing my mission. You know?
Right.
There's some existential dread that comes along with that.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, existential dread, ego death was a.
Ego death is neat, though. I mean, that's what you gotta do, kids.
And I went through that in 2022. I went through this like, huge just like self-doubt and just like essentially just nothing really matters kind of thing, which was like crippling and freeing at the same time, where it's like, it's just dependent on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Of just like, I realize that it's like, nothing that like I'm doing like, is that important. And, it's like, who really cares? And it's like, I'm just kind of coming out of that I was finally comfortable enough to like, spend the money to go and record the stuff, to be like, all right, maybe it deserves a shot. But I'm not setting myself up for like expectations of like, people are like, so what is the goal? Is the goal to go play Red Rocks or whatever? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, whatever happens to it.
Yeah, that didn't feel like what the I don't know. It sounds like a chapter that comes with just being a person of that age. Like,
Yeah.
What is life worth at 22, 23? You're trying to figure out your place in the world for the rest of your life. You're kind of faced with that again.
Yeah.
Just like when you're 18, someone says, "What do you want to do with your life?" So you really found.
Well, you're coming upon a big milestone because it was on my 30th birthday is when it actually happened.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're telling me I'm about to go through an existential crisis? Am I going to go through ego death at a bowling alley? Because that's what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm going bowling.
When are you going bowling? Because I don't want to miss that. I want to be there for that.
Should I put that on here? Okay, fuck it. May 31st. We're going to Crossgate.
May 31st.
It's a Sunday. Homies show up
it's a
from
Sunday.
5 to 7.
Have you ever
Families 1 to 3.
Have you ever
We're going
been
to a Mexican joint, and then we're going to get a little banged up. We're going to come back 5 to 7.
Have you ever been so calendar brained that people would be like, "Oh, I'm doing this thing. It's on like April 18th." You're like, "Oh, that's a Wednesday," and they're like, they're like, "Wait, that is a Wednesday. How did you know that?" You're like,
I couldn't do that. I think that's one of like the that's a talent that you either have or you don't. Put me
What
yo
am I
cow,
doing there?
daddy-o.
May 31st.
It's the only time we've ever made plans on this podcast. Get your calendar out. You want to talk about some gigs? Dude.
No gigs. No, we're not.
No. We're
Not on.
I am working
not
on my
on
actual
camera.
birthday. My actual 30th birthday will be a low spark, and I want that place to be jammed. Yeah, so
I know you are.
we'll see what happens.
Because I was like, the guy's working on his birthday, and then I thought to myself, like, I worked on my birthday this year.
yeah. Princeton celebrated his birthday. I still would like to get some gifts, but
My birthday is also Valentine's Day, so it's
that
like
sucks. That absolutely sucks.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I've never had to buy a Valentine in my life.
Oh, Christmas babies, think up. It's my birthday. You think I'm buying you shit?
Right, yeah.
that's
like,
gold.
Honey, what are we doing for Valentine's Day? And I'm like, what day?
You're looking at him.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
It's like, what day is that? Valentine's Day? Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Bunch of shitty cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you approach this chapter with Paradogs, what do people have to expect for releases, shows, content, etc.?
I am gonna essentially do like the online thing when it comes to Paradogs. I want to kind of take that approach of like, I don't want to just put a band together and start slogging it out, grinding the road.
Slogging is a great word for that.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like a punishment, and it is.
It is. It totally is. I would like to just like keep writing and keep releasing, keep recording, making content for it, because I enjoy all of those aspects of it. And of course I enjoy playing live, but that's what I do for a living. So it's not like, be like, man, I miss playing shows. It's like, I do that all the time anyway. So it's not like I'm going to be missing out on that element of it. But until there's like the demand for it, that what I was talking about of like the hybrid kind of way of touring and just navigating how to play live in the age of the internet.
Yeah.
Is essentially just like waiting until there is the demand, waiting until it's like, oh, Nick, there's the like, Providence, Rhode Island. If we booked this show right now, we would like sell out this theater. It's like, well, guess we're going to go play a one-off in Providence.
Yeah, like those things are worth waiting for. We spend so much time trying to fit ourselves into what we pictured as success,
Right.
even though it might not actually be that.
Right. It's like you want to see the tour posters with all the cities lined up with your name on the top of it. You know, like it looks cool. It feels great.
And it's great for when you're looking back on those days too.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember what was packed and what wasn't. Oh,
Right.
some of them were very clear which were packed and which weren't. But for the most part, it was just a good time.
Right.
I mean, the weirdest ones are always a great flavor in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. From that point in 2022 where you're having this, internal crisis and what sounds like it's somewhat depressing in that moment. Maybe not. Yeah. Navigating your way out of that with your art. Like, what have you kind of learned about yourself that you really needed?
What have I learned about myself that I really needed? I really needed to just like relax, just like let go of kind of these like preconceived notions of like what success was and what it could be. And it's like, me and you, we make a living off of playing music. Most people would say we've already made it. Like most people will never achieve that. Even if it is like, playing low spark or like, playing just like essentially like money gigs.
Yeah.
And, sprinkling in originals, or even in your sense, you're almost like 75-25 originals to covers.
But it's because I never told anybody about the switch. And
you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
The greatest day of my life was realizing that people aren't listening enough that I can just keep running my shit over here. It's like, what a relief and a distress.
Right. But the thing is that you doing that multiple nights a week is like you're so practiced with it. Is that like the one day that we played that Tin Roof thing with Joey down there on the Monday, it was like me, you, and somebody else. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. Whoever else was on that gig.
We love you, but
yeah, we love you.
Every tin roof is foggy.
And I was just out there essentially to be like, I'm going to play my stuff. And then when you were setting up your stuff, I was like telling everybody, I'm like, we're about to get smoked right now. We're about to get cooked. And everyone's like, why? I'm like, because this dude does it all of the time. This dude is so well refined. He's so practiced. He's so rehearsed. Because, yeah, I mean, like, that's just a part of your thing. And now with, like, the TikTok Live thing, you're essentially getting your art out there constantly, where it's like, if there's like 2 people in the actual room, you're like, cool, I get to...
I focus on them.
Exactly. I just get to, do whatever I want, essentially.
Yeah.
And you have the catalog for it.
But the gap bridging between those two really was like a special, important, and well-timed step in my life to say, Kevin Fox telling me, if not every third song is original, then what the fuck are you doing it for?
Yeah.
I was like, that was a good kick in the ass.
You told me about that, and I've actually implemented that into my own. And except for like my songs, I feel like lyrically, it's like, if nobody's listening, I can get them off. But like, if everyone's kind of like tuned in, I'm like, I'm not about to play this next song after Stevie Wonder.
There's got to be enough catalog that there is the less offensive versus the offensive. But you got to have both. Like that type of I don't want to call it integrity because not everyone agrees that it's integrity, but like commitment to my own hopes and dreams of this thing.
Yeah.
And then finding an audience that actually enjoyed that. Like maybe I got 6 to 10 motherfuckers that really mean it.
Yeah.
If I didn't have them right now, I'd probably be really scared about what's about to happen at 30. Just like that feeling of it slipping away. That I was always told that all the pop stars did it by 27. Am I already cooked?
Yeah.
Rick Beato told me on YouTube a couple weeks ago I'm cooked. But at the same time, like you said, what's the parameters of success? I play for a living. I love that. I write shit. That makes me feel good. When other people like the shit I write, it makes me feel really good. And when those people are there, we ball out of control.
Right.
Internet, in person, don't give a shit. Thank God for it. So,
and like most people would already say, like, Matt, you've made it. Like, because that's such an ambiguous thing as well. It's like and that all kind of boils down to ego at the end.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if your ego really needs to be served, then you haven't made it until you're fucking Post Malone, you know, until you're like doing Madison Square Garden shit. Anything less than that is failure. Other people would say like, you know, man, I would love to make $1 from playing my stuff.
100%. And I try to remember this more and more. I forget who said this to me, but it's been really important to me that happiness is not the goal to shoot for. Shoot for fulfillment.
Yeah.
It involves some sloggings, some
Yes.
good sloggings, and a couple meaningful wins. And that secretes happiness. That's a gooey ball of joy.
Yeah.
But
Because
it's a gooey ball, and you have to keep washing your hands, you know,
Right.
like Pontius.
yeah. Because
How is there not a hand sanitizer called Pontius?
I think certain people would get
It put a hole in my hand. How
put
did
a
you
hole
get?
in my hand and then
How did St. Waters get the stigmata? He had this sick ass Pontius antibacterial hand
Right.
sanitizer.
kills 1,000% of germs, even burns through your skin.
Catholic kids didn't. Non-Catholic kids didn't have it as good. There's so many good jokes with
So many.
but you got to be bought in. You know,
Yeah.
you got to have attended enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta have, you gotta have the experiences. You gotta have the terminology.
Dude.
Like nobody else knows even the term of stigmata.
There's a patron saint of petty theft out there. Okay, look, we got everything covered. You
Listen,
think?
I went to St. Jude School. He's the patron saint of lost causes.
Stop. Is that for real? That's a good opening bit. That's
The
just
worst
beautiful.
part is that there's a St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Oh no, dude. Okay, I don't want to get. That's too dark. It's perfect.
I
It's
know.
the
It's
perfect way
like-
to end that segment.
I was like, why did you name it that?
Yeah.
Why?
That's why we're artists.
Right. That's why we get our D's.
It's all the incense.
Yeah, but it's funny. I heard something the other day about how nostalgia. How is it worded? Is that like it's almost like a prison of like the present? Is that like you're looking back on something that you're only remembering like the best times of, and that like you're almost longing for a time that even wasn't better than now, and you're kind of distracting yourself from right now. Because when I look back, it's like I've struggled with depression, a long time in my life. And I was the most depressed when I was younger and when I was like, doing like all of the cooler things. And it's like, I'm the least depressed that I've ever been in my life now. And, people would be like, oh, you just, you're doing the job in bands, you're doing this, you're doing that. Because again, what you said is that like fulfillment creates the happiness. And it's like, I look back and like, sometimes I'm like, I'm like, yearn for the past of like, oh, it used to be like this, used to be like that. It's like, you used to be broke, like so broke you didn't even know where your next meal was coming from. I mean, like you just have to be able to appreciate where you are in the current moment and not kind of dwell on, your younger days and things like that. Because once you hit 30, buddy, I always said that when I woke up on my 30th birthday, it was like the last fuck I had to give was gone. Where like it's a freeing thing, but then in this industry, like you said, it's like, am I cooked? Am I already done? Like, is it already over? Which I'm not gonna lie, like even on this, US tour that I just went on, like, I was the oldest one in the group, which I'm not used to ever. I'm usually like, second youngest or like, or the youngest. I've never been like the old guy. And they never strayed from reminding me of that.
Do they call you Unc?
No, thank God that they didn't call me a chopped unk.
Dude, my friend Gracie, that's definitely gonna watch this. She calls me Unc, and I still don't think I have the full grasp of how
How old is she?
derogatory it is. I think Gracie's probably like 21, 22.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's rude about it, but it's funny. It's funny, and I am an uncle.
They're all very rude about it.
The most Unc thing that's ever happened to me was my 6-year-old nephew. For a while, I just called him nephew. I'd be like, "What's good, nephew?" And I'd slap him 5. And one day he walked up to me, he slapped me 5. He goes, "What's up, nephew?" I was like, "Hold on, what the fuck's that?" Hold on. You don't understand this relationship. This isn't a buddy thing, okay? I am your elder, okay?
Right. I am your
I'm your
Wait a
Unc.
minute. Yeah.
I'm your chopped Unc.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
And you have to refer to me as that if I refer to you as nephew.
Dude, straight up. I went to his lacrosse game the other day, and he's like much bigger than these other kids. And I watched him really take a kid out with a stick. Okay, I'm getting a phone call. It's going to interrupt this. Look at the, guess who it is? It's my father. So let's call it there. Nick Heffron, I love you.
I love you, man.
You're an angel. Friends, thanks for watching the show. I got to pick up this call from my dad. Eat shit. God bless.